What is going on? Chip Happens, episode 32. Let's get into it. I know what you're thinking. This sounds like a little bit of a mirage. Let me turn off this fan real quick. A hot day in the shop, hot day in the office. I had to have a fan on, but I'll suffer through it for, 30 minutes for you guys. Anyways, welcome. I was supposed to talk about pig royalty today, but I purposely moved it. I'm gonna have a special guest next week, and I'm pretty pumped for it. And we're gonna talk about pig royalty and show culture. Now, in case you guys don't know this, I am an ag teacher first and foremost. I teach construction mainly, but my job title starts with ag. What that means is I happen to be an FFA advisor. I teach about agriculture as well, and I'm able to do cool things with my students, like go to CDE competitions, all that kind of stuff. It should be a pretty easy thing to explain for those of you that are ag teachers, but for those of you who are not, that's kind of what we do. One of those things is being able to show animals. We're going to talk about that next week. So when you guys hear this episode air, then we are actually going to be recording that episode. So you'll hear that episode in a couple weeks because this week is late, so you'll hear it next week. Now, besides the fact, I'm glad to be here, happy to be teaching, happy to have kids back. It's been kind of a crazy day. I want to talk about building things for people who you don't want to build things for. It's actually a really common problem, and we've all seen those signs where it says, I have the right to refuse service, all that kind of jazz. And I want to talk about that a little bit more in depth and kind of talk about that, deeper, and talk about what I do and how I go about saying no. So that could be the scariest thing for a new person in a business, is telling someone no. And just in life in general, telling someone no is pretty big, pretty scary. But before I do that, I want to try to introduce you guys to another song, right? We spent some time last time talking about a song. This is from my friends Roman Alexander and Ashley Cook. This is Between You and Me. Sorry about that. Let's give it a listen. Hope maybe we'll find something you guys like. Here we go.
Can I tell you a secret? Between you and me, all I can think about is leaving here early to get you alone, pulling you into me, not even music on, nothing but you, my tea, white sheets, between you and me, between you and me, yeah.
Boy, you know me like no one. You know I get done up to get you undone. Killing you in this dress all night. It's only 8 and I'm down to close down this place, but I'd rather close up this space.
Between you and me, all I can think about is leaving here early to get you, pulling you into me, not even music on, nothing but you, my tea, white sheets, between you and me, between you and me, yeah.
awesome. I was like, wow, this is pretty incredible. We are back up, ready to roll. So anyways, I just had to share it. Thought it was a fantastic song. Thought it was worth your guys' time. So let's talk pretty frankly, pretty deeply about what is about to transpire here. So in case you guys don't know this, we all, I should say, have coworkers that we just despise, man. Those people. I used to actually have this guy that I worked with back in Best Buy. He was kind of a jerk. Really, I mean, I kind of grown to respect the person, right? I just kind of realized that was the way he was, but he was kind of a jerk, and I hated coming to work, seeing him at work. Like, it ruined my day just seeing this guy because of how big of a jerk he was. He would steal sales. Now, the job I'm talking about is Best Buy, and I remember pretty distinctly, well, we didn't get commission or anything on sales, but homeboy would come and like steal my sale or like give me a bad deal. Like, hey man, I got 2 customers, and he would cherry pick which customer that he was going to take care of. Now, that was his right because got the customers, but still it was a bad deal when it comes down to giving away sales and stuff, and you're pretty heavily tracked, and all of your performance is based on those sales. But we all had those jobs. This job is definitely not immune to that. There are people that I work with who I just can't despise. One person in particular. Anyways, that goes on into what I want to talk about today. Now, I am tasked with being one of the lone woodshop teachers, and when you're a woodshop teacher or carpentry, you get a lot of requests from people, and it's really, really difficult. Now, here's where I draw the line, and I'm going to kind of go through my, 4 or 5 line drawing tips. Actually, I don't even think I have that much, to be honest with you guys. But a quick way, and each of them have a little story on where I draw the line until I get to the last one. The first one, I'll share with you a little bit of a story. Backstory, we have a couple different shops on campus. We have our carpentry shop, which is what I teach in. We have a welding shop, which another colleague of mine teaches in. Then we have a small engine shop that no one teaches in right now. So 3 shops all have their own distinct different purpose. That's fantastic. Well, I was building some tables for our librarian, and I remember me and her were chatting about it, and I like to talk. If it's a customer, I don't care if you're a librarian or whatever. If you're a customer, I'm going to talk to you and figure out what you like, some things, so I know if I make something, I spent the time and I know I make something that you hopefully like. The longest part about building is getting to know your customers' likes and dislikes and then building around those. Forget whatever you like or dislike. You got to figure out what your customer likes and dislikes. They're the one paying the money. Anyways, I'm getting ready to talk, and this other person comes in, and he was like, hey man, I need you to build, or are you able to build me a TV stand, cabinets and that sort of thing. And at this particular point, I didn't have any students in class, so it was just me building it. Now the issue is that yes, I am a fairly decent carpenter. I've learned a lot. I grew up in construction, but that's not my professional job. That's not really my talent. I went to school to learn how to educate kids, not to be a carpenter. So I mainly put my effort and focus into making kids do it, or not making them do it, but having kids do projects, and then we learn, or I teach from their mistakes, right? That's kind of how I do it. So I told the guy, I'm like, hey man, that's awesome. Like, I would love to make it for you, but I don't have any kids. Like, I don't have any kids back, and I'm starting to get a little stretched thin. Like, I have the librarians thing, and more people want more stuff. It's springtime. Everyone wants more things in the spring. And he goes, oh man, he goes, well, I had a project for the welding teacher, and back when he had kids, and he never got it done, and proceeded to, I wouldn't say talk smack, but kind of talk smack and say that, he was all ready, and now, he never got it done. And so at that particular point, I was like, nah, I don't want to make this project. I didn't tell him that. I told him like, well, I'll see what I have planned. And I never followed up. And I'm not going to follow up because you don't talk. It's almost like going to I wouldn't say a car dealership, like a mechanic, and they talk bad about the other mechanics in the area. Like, no, I'm not going to help you out, man. It's regardless if they do worse work or I do better work, whatever it may be. I don't want, if you have nothing positive to say about a person, they could even be negative. I don't want to build it for you because you're equal. If I don't build it to your standard, whatever the hell that might be, you're probably just going to go talk smack on what I just built from you. So that's kind of been my mentality when it comes to building things for people, right? I kind of see how they're going to treat me, because the last thing I want to do is build something for someone, spend a bunch of time, energy on something for them to maybe talk smack about me to someone behind my back. Like, I ain't going to do it. So that's the first line that not going to do it for you, right? Another one's payment. If they aren't willing to pay for the material material up front, then I'm not going to build it. I'm not. It's just not going to work for me. And I know there are some builders who take a small deposit down. I have always been a firm believer to take deposit down for the materials and then pay for your labor later, right? I know it's a little easier or harder said than done, because I guess easier said than done, not hard. That doesn't make any sense, but it's a little easier said than done, especially with that aspect of it. Now, if you don't pay me out, I'm not going to want to build you something, because at the end of the day, if you don't pay me, who's going to pay for it? Nothing's free. Who is going to pay for this material? Oftentimes I pay for it. I used to buy everything and then charge them after the fact, but I stopped doing that because it started to get a little bit more, I guess, impactful in my wallet. I wasn't getting paid enough in time, and it was kind of killing my budget. Wife was getting all upset. So that's why I made my own kind of policy where I'm going to collect the material funds before I build it, and then I'm going to charge them for labor afterwards. Now, here's the deal. If you refuse to pay me just any sort of deposit, I'm not building it for you. There's no way. It's a bad experience for me, bad experience for everyone involved. A good way to get me not to build something for you. Another good way to not get me to build something for you is complaining about the work before it's done. There's nothing more, and being in a school, it's even harder. There's nothing more frustrating than someone coming by the shop, seeing their half-done project, and then complaining that one, it's not done, or two, they're just not happy with the progress on it, or not happy with the color. Like, Jesus, give me some time, man. First off, if you're not happy with the color, this is the color we agreed on, and the color is going to change a little bit once I put some sort of coat on it. I cannot tell you how many times I've done something or have prepared something, and people have come in and be like, hey, we talked about this being shinier, have a gloss sheen on it. Yeah, okay, Janet, I'm on, gloss doesn't come from the stain. Gloss comes from the top coat I'm going to put on the thing. But if you can tell, the legs aren't even put on this table. It's infuriating. Do not critique my work. You can critique it after. Do not critique it as I'm building. Ridiculous. Good way to get me not to build something for you again. Fourth way, I don't have a whole big list. Fourth is the end and kind of the point for this phone call. Oh, not phone call. The point for this podcast episode today. The fourth way is just being a total utter prick without giving me anything in return. Now, if someone pays for something, they are giving me money in return. That's a fair trade. If I'm building something for family, like my mother, she has given me life. She has given me tremendous amount of opportunity, loaned me money as a kid, let me do stupid things. Absolutely, that's a good trade. I'll build her something, use my skill that she kind of helped foster. The librarian, she does my books. She gets them done quick. I'm going to help her out. See, we talk about a figurative bank, literal bank and a figurative bank. If someone isn't doing something for you, if you're not getting something in return, whether it be love or, I don't know, money or something, do not perform the project. Do not do the project. Quick example, the main example, my department head, bless her heart, wants to have planter boxes, right? Wants to build planter boxes for her class to test out and try to grow vegetables on their own. Awesome. Support that. It's a solid idea. She bought the lumber. She did all this stuff. But more so, I'm a new teacher. She's always called me, checked on how I was doing. There, all hours of the day, night. I have a problem. I know I can get a hold of her and she can solve the problem, or at least tell me how to solve it. And yeah, there's no of course, we're going to build the project for you and we're going to get it done. Absolutely. This other person wants to do the same thing, but they violate my no-goes for projects all the time. The biggest no-go for projects, if this person is not making a deposit into the bank, they cannot withdraw from the bank. I'm talking about a figurative bank here. If they are not giving you something, you should give them nothing. This person does not give me any sort of joy or anything of that sort, I should say, and add. So I'm not going to build something for them. Now, that doesn't mean if you have a customer and they just suck and they're kind of mean and that sort of thing, but they're still paying you, they're giving you something, they're giving you a deposit, they're trying to withdraw your skill. The moment they stop paying you, then we can probably talk about maybe leaving, but they're still paying you. If they trash your work, that's one thing, then leave, right? If they trash another person, then leave. There's some, hard rules, but for the most part, if they're just stubborn, kind of hard, not really, not super nice, but they're still, ready for your skill and still making that deposit, absolutely help them out, right? It's up to your discretion, but as well, should be up to my discretion as well. I have the right to refuse service, and I also have the right to refuse service of my workers, or in this case, my students. I'm not going to put my students in a situation where they're not gaining something, because that would be wrong for me to do. But we're going to gain something. Now, what grinds my gears more than anything is someone just assuming that they can get me to build something just because I'm the woodshop teacher. Absolutely not. Not how any of this works. Like, look at me. I'm the boss. You're not the boss. I'm the boss. And I get to say if I want to build something or not. You can build it all you want. You can build your own project. That's fine. You ain't using my tools, nor are you using my students or their skills that I gave them. Now, if the kid wants to, by all means, he can definitely do that. Not going to argue with the kid. However, we all have to be realistic here. We're not realistic. We're not anything. We're not getting better. So how can we get better? How can we do something? I want to urge you, if there is someone not bringing you joy, It's like Marie Kondo. Someone doesn't spark joy, you throw it away. Throw that person away. They don't deserve your presence. All right. Now, I don't want to sound like I'm heartless or won't build people's projects. I'll build mostly anyone a project, but you have to stick to those hard lines. If they cross that line, it's game over. And don't tell them the line. Do not tell them the line at all. Don't let them, they should never know where that line's at. But the person's going to get a real big shock when they get all this wood delivered and no one's going to build the project. Because guess what? You're a jerk and no one wants to build projects for jerks. All right. You happen to listen to this. I don't like you. Now, this has gone on for a long time. It takes me a very long, very difficult time, very long time for me not to like someone. I'm a pretty likable person. I pride myself on being able to get along with everyone. And I will usually build something for someone once. But I'll never, ever build something for someone if they take up 3 months of my time on something so minimal, something so little. You give me the job, you tell me what you want, give me some measurements, I will get built. It's not your right to come in and dictate and tell me how something is going to be built every step of the way. There is no customer in the world that does that. If you are a customer and you want to dictate every little step, build it yourself. Don't hire a professional to do it. They are a professional for a reason. You are not better than them. That's why you hired them. If you were better than them, you wouldn't have hired them. So I treat it the same way. You're not going to ask me to build something and then dictate how I build it. There's no way I'm going to allow that to happen. I'm the professional. You want to build it yourself? If you think you're better, do it. I know my skill. I know what I bring to the table. I know what my students bring to the table. And that's all that matters. At the end of the day, I'm there to protect kids. I'm there to protect my workers. I call them. There to protect the workers. And I'm there to protect my integrity and my business. Now, this technically isn't my business, but I still run a woodshop club that we make funds out of, withdraw money from, and we do things and we build things to grow a program, buy different tools, buy the top of the line stuff. Because at the end of the day, these students deserve the best I can possibly give them. So stick to your rules. I don't know where your line's going to be. Your line doesn't have to be the same place that my line is, but make sure that you have a line, maybe a couple lines. Make sure you know exactly what you're going or what is going to make you call it quits. All right. Or mean, whatever. You always have to have one thing. It's okay to change those lines. Those lines don't have to be permanent. It's okay to change them. Anyways, guys, this is Chip Happens. Follow me, Twitter _Chip Happens. Tweet me out. Let me know. Have you had any crazy coworkers you don't like? Let me know. Hey, tag them in your tweet too. I want to see how crazy they are. I want them to respond to you. Say something weird. That'd be the best. Hey, I appreciate every single one of you guys listening. Till next time. Peace. This has been an episode of the Chip Happens podcast. Thank you all for listening, and I will catch you next week with another exciting episode.